America's future anti-ship missile has completed another successful test. The successful test of the Long-Range Anti-Ship Missile, or LRASM, were announced on May 23 by Lockheed Martin, the missile's producer. In the event over the sea range at Point Mugu, California, Lockheed said in a press release, a U.S. Air Force B-1B from Dyess Air Force Base, Texas, released a pair of LRASMs. The missiles navigated through well-planned waypoints, transitioned to mid-course guidance and flew toward a moving maritime target using inputs from the onboard sensors. The missiles then positively identified the intended target and impacted successfully. This was the second time that Lockheed used two long-range anti-ship missiles against a single, moving ship. The success of this second dual long-range anti-ship missile test event speaks volumes, David Helsel, the long-range anti-ship missile program director at Lockheed, said in the press release. It was the seventh consecutive successful test of the long-range anti-ship missile, the most recent one being in March of this year. The long-range anti-ship missile was first tested against a moving target back in 2013. Long-Range Anti-Ship Missile is a DARPA and U.S. Navy-funded program meant to provide the U.S. Navy and Air Force with an offensive anti-surface weapon, ovethe, to counter the growing threats from highly capable adversaries like Russia and China. The program was begun under DARPA in 2009 and leverages existing technology from the Joint Air-to-Surface Standoff Missile Extended Range, or JASSMER, program. Its development was fast-tracked under the Pentagon's Better Buying Power 3.0 program, with the expectation that it would serve as a stopgap solution to compensate for the Navy's aging Harpoon anti-ship missiles. Long-Range Anti-Ship Missile carries a 1,000-pound penetrator and blast fragmentation warhead. Although the Joint Air-to-Surface Standoff Missile Extended Range had a range of 500 nautical miles, DARPA has suggested that the Long-Range Anti-Ship Missile's range is a little over 200 nautical miles, NMI. Still, this range is significantly greater than the Harpoon LRASM, which the U.S. Navy has merely labeled as an excess of 67 NMI range. Some variants can extend as far as 130 NMI. This has left the U.S. Navy dangerously outgunned in encounters on the sea against capable adversaries like China and Russia. Russia's Club N anti-ship missile, for instance, has a reported range of around 161 NMI. Beijing's YJ-12 has a range of 215 NMI, meaning it should be roughly equal to long-range anti-ship missile. Long-range anti-ship missile is also designed to provide the U.S. Navy and Air Force with a precision-guided long-range standoff capability that can survive in aggressive electronic warfare environments. To achieve this, it uses onboard sensors and a semi-autonomous guidance system to reduce its dependence on intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance platforms, network links and GPS navigation. It also employs innovative terminal survivability approaches and precision lethality to avoid advanced enemy countermeasures while still reaching its intended target. As Flight Global points out, these onboard sensors are not only useful for reducing its reliance on outside guidance systems. In addition, they help the long-range anti-ship missile detect and destroy specific targets within groups of ships using its sensors, encrypted communications and a digital anti-jamming GPS. In July of last year, Lockheed Martin received the first production contract for the air-launched variant of long-range anti-ship missile. That $86.5 million contract was for 23 missiles as well as engineering support. Mike Fleming, David Helsel's predecessor as the long-range anti-ship missile director at Lockheed, said at the time that this first production lot of long-range anti-ship missile brings a new level of capability to both the U.S. Air Force and the Navy. Long-range anti-ship missile enables our warfighters to prosecute even the most advanced enemy ships. That wasn't the only milestone of the long-range anti-ship missile that took place in July 2017. That same month, Lockheed conducted its first test of the modified long-range anti-ship missile from a shipborne topside canister launcher. Previously, sea-launched long-range anti-ship missiles had been test-fired from Mk-41 vertical launch systems that are on board American cruisers and destroyers. But the use of a surface canister would allow the Navy to equip littoral combat ships and frigates with the missile as well. Although the accelerated long-range anti-ship missile program will initially produce missiles for aircraft, the U.S. Navy eventually wants to put them on ships. The reason is simple: quantity. As Sidney Friedberg explained at Breaking Defense, at the very maximum, with nothing held back for defense, which would be tactical insanity, an entire carrier air wing of 44 fighters could only carry 88 long-range anti-ship missiles, while a single Arleigh destroyer could carry 96. The ship-based versions are for the more distant future. The long-range anti-ship missiles are expected to debut on B-1B bombers sometime this year before being placed on FA-18 Hornets next year. It is unclear when U.S. Navy ships will actually be fitted with the long-range anti-ship missile.